And as well, before we start any presentation at Royal Roads, we always acknowledge the lands that we are on. So Royal Roads University is located on the traditional lands of the Cossepsum and the Lekwungen ancestors and families who've been here for thousands of years. So we're really grateful to be able to do the work that we do every day here. And as well, I'm working from home today, and I'm on the traditional lands of the Kawatsan people in the Cowichan Valley. So again, just want to take this moment wherever we're all joining in the world to just appreciate where we get to be today. And with that, today we are going to be talking about the Graduate Certificate in Science and Policy of Climate Change and the MA and the MSc in Environmental Practice programs, and how they can also work together. You can take both of them if you want. There's a whole bunch of options for you there. So we're excited to dig into that. My name is Christy Jones, and I'm an education specialist at the university, but I am pleased to be joined by Dr. Leslie King, who is the program head for both programs. So she's going to be our expert today on all things on the GC and the master's program as well. We are also joined by Mark Dickinson, who is going to be helping me out in the back end today with some tech support. So if you have any challenges with technology today, you are welcome to send him a message and he can help you out there. And we're also joined by Beverly Hill, who is one of the people who are on our amazing enrollment team. And she'll be popping some helpful links in the chat box today and helping us answer questions. And now that we've introduced ourselves a little bit, I'd love to get to know who's in the room some more. So I'm actually going to launch a poll now. So you should see it up on your screen now, but you are welcome to input what program you're interested in learning more about today, between the Master of Arts in Environmental Practice, Master of Science in Environmental Practice, the Graduate Certificate in Science and Policy of Climate Change, all of the above. Or if you are unsure, feel free to put that and we will give you hopefully all the information you will need today. And while you're doing that, I'll just give it a few more moments. But if you also want to type into the chat box, perhaps where you're joining from in the world, what your name is, what industry you're working in, anything that you would like to share, feel free to also type that into the chat box, because we love to get to know who we're talking to and where you're all coming from.
What job, not necessarily an industry.
That too, yeah. Job works as well. Okay, so I'm going to end the poll and share the results. Alrighty, so we have 5% interested in the MA, we have 9% for the MSc, 55% for the graduate certificate, which is awesome. 18% all of the above, and then we have 14% who are undecided. So thank you so much for playing along with our poll there. It really helps to know which programs you're really interested in learning about today.
And we have someone from South Africa. Welcome. I've spent time there and I'm delighted to see you.
Yeah, that's wonderful. Yeah, thanks for joining us from South Africa. And if you haven't yet, feel free to type in the chat box. Karen, an environmental advisor.
Karen, oh, amazing. Wonderful to see you.
That is very cool. We have the Moose Jaw campus.
Polytechnic. Ah, good. Oh, yes, Michelle. Hi. How are you? Oh, this is great. Regina, hydrogeologist. Excellent. Fort McMurray. Comox, great. Ah, Nurses for the Environment. I like that.
Yeah, that is very cool.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, everybody. So without further ado, I'm just going to take us through our agenda for today, and we'll get into the session. So we're going to go through a brief overview of the Royal Roads University experience first, then go through some program-specific information. And I think we don't actually have a student today. I think I left that in by accident, but we will be leaving it to Leslie to dig into all the program information you'll need today, and then the application process at the end. But if you have any questions throughout the whole presentation, just type them away at any point and we will answer them.
Sorry, Christy, we actually do have a student because Michelle Hall did the EP program. And so we'll call on Michelle if we have any questions for a student.
Michelle, if you are ready, then we would appreciate any insights you have from the environmental practice program. That is so awesome. And while I have not taken these programs, I did take a different environmental program at Royal Roads, and I'm happy to speak to just the general student experience at the university too. Okay, so if you are unfamiliar with our campus, here's a bit of a snapshot. Of course, with the programs we're going to be talking about today, they are very online based, but we still invite you to come and visit our campus whenever it is safe to do so, of course. And even if you come for just for convocation, this is your place. So we want you to know that as well, even if you're learning from another part of the world. So the top left-hand corner there, we have Hatley Castle. It is really a central hub in the middle of our campus there. It was built in the early 1900s by the Dunsmuir family. And it's used today as a working building for our staff. We have some events and different talks that can happen there. It's also used for things like weddings and film projects, which is really fun. But yeah, so there's lots of activity happening there. The top right-hand corner is a shot of one of our trails. So we're actually on over 500 acres of old growth forest at Royal Roads, which is amazing. So there's lots of places for you to explore. If you're interested in the more natural side of things, which I have a feeling many folks on this call would be. So this is a wonderful resource at your disposal. And then the bottom left-hand corner is the Esquimalt Lagoon. We're also on the ocean, which you can kind of see right behind Hatley Castle there. So this is a wonderful spot. It's very tranquil, and it's also a bird sanctuary. So there's lots of wildlife that you can see from down there. And then the bottom right-hand corner is just an ode to the fact that we have been doing online learning for over 25 years. It was an integral piece to who we are as a university when we started out. So it's something we are very well versed in and have been able to curate that experience. So it is really engaging and allows you to connect with your peers in a way that might not happen if you're trying to just take a program through sides or something like that, if you've had that experience before. So why explore Royal Roads? The first one on here is we see life as a qualification. So this is a reference to our flexible admissions model that we have at Royal Roads. I will get into that a little bit more at the end of the presentation. But we take into account who you are holistically when you're applying to a program and not just what your transcript says. So anything that you have experienced in your life, we think that is of value to your cohort and what you're bringing to the program and your learnings. The next one here is profs who know your name. So we give a pretty personalized experience at Royal Roads. It's a smaller class sizes. You won't have that experience that you might have had at a larger university where you're in a giant auditorium and you're with hundreds of other students. You don't quite get that, but you do get a small class size where you get to know your classmates really, really well. You get to know your professors very well, and as well anybody else you communicate with at the university, whether that's our enrollment teams, some financial aid, student services, anything like that. The next one here is learning based on life. So anything that you are learning in your programs is going to be very current. It's going to be, made to address today's world issues. So anything that you're learning is going to be something that you can apply directly to your career or any career that you want to transition into. And as well, if you're having any challenges in your work or any goals that you want to meet in your current job, we encourage our students to bring those challenges into their coursework and really let that provide a little bit more context into the readings and projects that students do. Next one on here is connections for life. So you will get to meet, like I said, with the profs who know your name point. You also make those great connections with your classmates, and they can be connections that last well after your program is finished. So we do quite a bit of teamwork and group work depending on the course you take at Royal Roads, but there is a big emphasis on that, which means that you get to know your classmates very, very well, and you get to work with people who are in a lot of really interesting industries, and they can really provide a lot of perspective and a different angle on what you're learning, which is great. And the last one on here, we were built differently. So again, we have been doing online learning since day one, which has been a big part of what we do, but also we're a university that really caters to people who want to keep working full time and who may be in the middle of their career, but have different parts of their life, like having a family or having an intense job or things like that, that we wanted to ensure that we are providing programs for those folks to be able to do it from wherever they are in the world. Alrighty, so that online model and what that actually looks like. So our courses can be around 15 to 20 hours a week that you might be doing for each course, but that can be quite flexible. So there may be some lectures that are happening weekly, but those are always recorded, so you can catch up on them later if things come up. And other than that, you can really craft your own schedule as far as when you meet with your team and things like that to work on projects, and when you do your homework or your individual projects as well. So the platform we use is Moodle 3.2. So it's a little bit like if you can use Facebook or Twitter or any of those platforms, you will definitely be able to use this platform as well. And if you've used Moodle at a different institution, there's a good chance that ours may look a little bit different because each university customizes it to their own needs. But yeah, it's a very intuitive platform to use, and it has everything that you need right in there to be successful in your courses. Next here, we have the Computer Help Desk, which is an amazing resource to draw on if you have any issues at all. They're there to help you out. And then as well, the library. So we have a very full article database. You can look up different thesis and major projects, some statistics and data and things like that. So that is a really wonderful thing for you to be able to have when you're getting into some of those bigger projects. And we are in Ashoka U Changemaker campus. So this is a designation that has been given to a select number of institutions, and we're very proud of it. It means that the type of education that we provide, it's very entrepreneurial, it's very interdisciplinary, and it's very solutions oriented as well. So that is what we infuse into all of our programs, and it really helps set up our students well to be able to complete their program and apply those same sort of fundamental themes into their career and life as well. And with that, I will hand it over to you, Leslie, to speak a little bit to our partnership with EcoCanada.
Thank you very much, Christy. That was a great introduction. One of the unique things about all of the programs I'm going to be talking about today is our partnership with EcoCanada. EcoCanada is the sector organization for the environmental sector in Canada. They keep track of employer needs, jobs available, the growth in jobs, and it's always growth in the environmental field. Other people could say the growth or decline of jobs, but our jobs never decline. So, Christy, thank you. Next slide. Thanks. Yeah, EcoCanada supports the environmental sector and the workplace, and they also train and certify environmental professionals. They have two designations that they administer and give. One is the Environmental Professional in Training, or the EPT, and the other is the full-blown Environmental Professional. Thanks, Christy. So in terms of the future of environmental work, as I say, it's always growing. And I always tease EcoCanada because they're always a little bit conservative in their estimates. But basically, the field has grown exponentially, and also the kinds of jobs that are available, ranging from NGOs, governments at all levels, from local to global, industry, commerce, consulting companies, just about everything that you can imagine. There are jobs in the environmental sector. And many of these jobs will be created in the next 20 years or so, things that we could never have imagined. So climate professionals, for one, is an area that is growing amazingly and has all kinds of different jobs, from monitoring greenhouse gas emissions to climate policy to educating the world about climate change, etc., the link between climate and biodiversity. Thanks, Christy. So the first programs I'm going to talk about are the MA and MSc in Environmental Practice. Now, I noticed that not too many of you were interested in the Master of Arts, and that's quite common I must admit, but I think it's a mistake because the MA provides students with a lot of the competencies that employers are after. And this is something that EcoCanada has done many studies about. And many employers list the MA type jobs, manager jobs, people who can write, communicate, et cetera, et cetera. Many employers are listing those first, as opposed to this technical or field skills that many people learn in the beginning aspects of their careers. Now, our science program also includes those competencies, but they focus more on the science aspects. Thanks, Christy. So the program goal is that these programs provide flexible graduate education. And when I say flexible, I mean it in terms of what you study, how you study it, when you study it. These programs give you lots of scope to focus on your specific interests and needs. And you can take as little time or as much time to complete these programs as you like and as your circumstances permit. Many of our students are full-time environmental professionals, and they can only take one course a semester. Many others who may be working less or not working at all can take up to 3 courses a semester and then finish the program very quickly. So the program is for highly skilled environmental professionals seeking upgrading or advanced credentials leading to a range of environmental leadership, and I would add management careers or career advancement. Christy, thanks. So the program is a fully online program, and I love that Christy shows you all these wonderful photographs of the campus, but it's pretty ironic because these are completely online programs and people don't come to campus, but that's the beauty of these programs. So many of our students are in jobs or families that won't allow them to travel to campus or stay on campus for any length of time, or they might be from the north or communities where they are needed and can't come to campus. And over again, the students who've taken our degrees say that they could not get a master's degree if this program had not existed. So it's one of the things I love about these programs. And as I said, they're very flexible to accommodate working professionals. Normally completed in 2 to 5 years, many of our students complete in about 2.5 years, 2.5 years, but they can take up to 7 years to complete the program. And as I said earlier, the program aligns with the EcoCanada occupational standards for the environmental sector and prepares for environmental professional certification. So our partnership with EcoCanada basically keeps us real in terms of what employers want, what the trends are in employment in Canada and elsewhere. And sort of a byproduct of these programs is that they promote online skills and competencies, which are, of course, increasingly in demand in the marketplace. And our professors and instructors are fantastic. They give people a wide range of exercises, experience, assignments that really develop those online skills and competencies. Thanks, Christy. So at the end of the program, I shouldn't really start at the end, but I will. This is the Italian garden at Royal Roads. And as you can see, it's also my background because I love this wisteria. And it's part of our beautiful campus. But at the end of the program, students can choose either an in-depth research paper that might be the culmination of their interests throughout the program or their interests in something different, but something that they really want to research in depth, or a practicum. And the practicum is excellent for people who are not already employed in the field because they can get some practical experience and also expand their networks. Another unique aspect of the program is the opportunity to take up to 3 courses at the University of Denver. So the University of Denver courses are obviously very well based in US environmental policy, and that's sometimes a very good thing for our students to learn. And finally, the thing I'm most excited about is that the Masters in Environmental Practice can include the new graduate certificate in Science and Policy of Climate Change as part of the MEP program. And this is 3 courses and 9 credits. And so those 9 credits will count towards the master's degree, but at the same time, you get both credentials. So you get both the master's degree and the graduate certificate in Science and Policy of Climate Change. So it's really a lot and worth a lot. It's a lot of bang for the buck, so to speak. Thanks, Christy. So in terms of electives, the students start with 2 required courses, and that's the Sustainability Perspectives, Environmental Practice 500, and Research Methods 550 prior to taking any electives. Then you select your elective within your stream, the Master of Arts or Master of Science, and if taking the University of Denver courses, you submit a letter of permission and register at the university, and then those credits are transferred toward your MEP program. Christy. So these are the new intake dates. We just had an intake, the students just started, but we have another batch of students starting in January, and then again September 2022. So you can apply for either of those. This, by the way, is a culturally modified tree, of which we have many on the campus. Thanks, Christy. So now my great and most recent pride and joy, not really my most recent, I've been trying to get a program in climate change in all the universities I've worked in for the last, I don't know, 30 years or so, and I've always been too far ahead of the curve. But this finally is our wonderful graduate certificate in Science and Policy of Climate Change. And I started this program a year ago, and the first students are just completing it now. We had a bumper crop, and the students are taking my course called Climate Solutions, where they work in an organization or a government or a First Nation to try to help them address climate change. Christy. So this is a 9-credit program, as I said. It's also offered in partnership with EcoCanada. It's entirely online. And the beauty of all of these programs is that you pay for them 1 course at a time, which is a lot easier on the budget than the usual graduate programs, which require the money right up front. So this is a lot easier on the budget. You can take this as a standalone certificate and not take anything else, and you get the credential of the certificate. Or you can take it as part of MEP. You can also take electives, those are the first 2 courses in our MEEC program, our program in environment and management, our interdisciplinary studies, and I have 2 students in the program right now from the MBA program, and they're taking the whole 9 credits as part of their MBA program, which is really interesting for the environmental students in the class because they learn about the MBA program and the concerns of those MBA students. And the MBA students are, of course, interested in the burgeoning climate and environmental field. Christy, thank you. So who's it for? Environmental professionals. You need an undergraduate degree to get in, but those who want to move into the burgeoning field of climate change and policy, and you don't have to have an undergraduate degree in environment. Almost any undergraduate degree will work to get into the program. The first course is very science-based, and the instructors in that course are very good about helping people get up to speed on the science. So it's for professionals in other fields who want to transition to climate careers. And every day I get emails from people in all kinds of fields, music, business, whatever, who want to transition into the climate field. And I welcome that so much because we need everybody. Climate professionals who may have just happened into climate jobs and want to expand their knowledge base and further develop their skills. And environmental practitioners who want to retain or earn the EP, the Environmental Professional Certificate, and advance in their careers. And we also have many mid-career professionals considering a career change and graduates from international university programs with relevant work experience. Okay, Christy. So the program, as I said, can be completed in less than a year. It starts off with the first course is Science and Impacts of Climate Change, and that will happen in January of this year. And then the Climate Policy and Governance course starts in April. And finally, the Climate Solutions course starts in June next year, 2022. Thanks, Christy. So the next intake is January, and it says here that, like the barred owl, says here that the deadline is October, but we always get that extended. So don't worry too much if you can't get your application in by October. And also, the good thing is always to start your application, even if you can't get together the documents and things like that. Once you've started your application, then that counts in terms of the deadline. And then the next program starts a year after that. Thanks, Christy.
Wonderful. Thank you,
Go ahead,
Leslie.
over to you.
Perfect. Thank you so much. And another note on the dates and such as well. We do rolling admissions here at the university. So if you do submit and add all the supporting documents months in advance, that means that it could be months earlier potentially that we give you an answer on if you're accepted into the program or not. So we don't wait until the actual application deadline date to let everyone know if they've been accepted or not. So it's really a great idea to get the applications in as early as you can. So then you have more time to plan out the financial aspect of things, shifting around your schedule, anything like that will be good things to think about as you're entering the program. And if you do have any questions about anything that Leslie has just talked about, feel free to add them into the chat box and we will be happy to get to them. And then in the meantime, I will take us through the application process and how to apply.
Thanks, Christy.
Alrighty, so for the standard admissions, that would look like a 4-year or comparable undergraduate degree in a related field with a minimum GPA of a B from a recognized post-secondary institution. It would also include at least 2 years of relevant work or volunteer experience. And then applicants who meet the degree requirements but not the GPA requirements will normally be required to take our academic writing and critical thinking course. And we hear from a lot of students that that's actually a great course to take either way, just because it really sets you up well to get your head back into the space of taking an academic program, especially if it's been a number of years since you've been in school. And yeah, it really helps you freshen up on all of the things like academic writing, referencing, research, all of those things. If you are unsure if you fit into the requirements of the last slide, we also have the flexible admissions model, which I mentioned a bit at the start of the presentation. But this could be if you know you aren't quite there with the degree requirements or things like that, there will be some options for you. So this would be normally 6 years of relevant work experience or an equivalent combination of education and experience. And then all flexible admission applicants will normally be required to take that academic writing and critical thinking course. And then of course, if you're applying as an international student or anything like that, you can review our English language requirements on the website as well. So definitely don't count yourself out if you aren't sure if you will be eligible for the program, because we just, we invite you to have a conversation with our enrollment team. Leslie's happy to talk to you as well. to figure out if this will be a good program for you and based on your experience and what your goals are and everything. So a little bit more about how to apply. So to start off, there's a process. There's an application fee of $128.81. A specific number, I know, but that's to get the process going. And then there's some supporting documents that you'll submit with that. So the first one on here is your official transcripts from whichever institutions you've previously attended. So those do need to arrive to us sealed, but keeping in mind that some institutions are actually doing official emailed transcripts right now instead of the mailed transcripts due to COVID-19. We also accept those as well. The next one on here is a detailed resume. So this can be quite a bit longer than your typical job application resume, for example, because we really want you to include everything that you need that would speak to your eligibility for the program. So that's obviously things like education and work experience, but can also include things like volunteer, specific projects that you've worked on, courses you've taken in different settings other than, say, your degree or things like that. Anything at all that could be relevant to this is something that you can include in your resume for sure. The next one on here is the personal statement. So this is a one-page document that is a really great way to clarify for yourself and for everybody else who will be adjudicating your application on why you want to be in the program, a little bit more in detail about your past experience and things like that, and life experiences as well. This will be an important place, especially if you would be coming in through that flexible admissions stream, that you can really allow us a way to get to know you and get to, see if this will be a good fit for you. And the last one on here is 2 letters of reference. So it is ideal to have one of those be a professional reference and one of those be from an educational background, but there is a bit of wiggle room there. Say if you've been out of school for a number of years and you don't have a reference anymore from that side of things, then there is some options for you to be able to do 2 professional references and things like that. But again, with these ones, it's best if they come to us directly from the person who is referring you, and also if it can show like their professional email address, it's also a really great thing to have, so we know for sure we can identify like where they're coming from and make sure that they're not like a cousin or your mom or somebody, because we do want to make sure they can speak to your real work experience and your education background and things like that. Alrighty, I see a question here about, and I think Leslie answered it, but I'll read it out just for the folks who are watching the recording afterwards. Right. So what about people without a science background? I have an MA already, but only the basics in science from my BA. And then Leslie has said, a science background is required for the MSc, but your basics might be enough. Otherwise, we would encourage you to apply for the MA. The science background is not required for the graduate certificate. So best of luck in that.
Yeah. Good. Thanks, Christy.
Alrighty, so some resources that might be handy for you as you're planning out going back to school. So our financial aid team is wonderful and a great resource for you to draw on as you're trying to figure out the affordability of the program for your own circumstances and yourself. I reached out to this team when I was applying to a program at Royal Roads, and they were incredibly helpful in helping me navigate student loans and identifying any awards and bursaries I might be eligible for and things like that. So definitely reach out to them. And as well, we have a smaller student body at Royal Roads than some of the larger institutions. So that means that you can have a pretty good chance at getting some of these funding opportunities. And sometimes folks won't even apply for them, or very few. So you have, a lot of options there for financial aid. And the website is also a great resource. They have a blog on there that really helps with any, awards, essays, and things like that. And if you are wanting to reach out to our enrollment team, Bev is an example of our wonderful enrollment team. She's been helping us out in the chat box today, but here is more of their contact information if you do want to note this down and follow up with them later on. So if you'd be applying as a Canadian student, you'll want to contact the top email address there, the learn.more@royalroads.ca. And if you'd be applying as an international student, you can contact learn.more.international@royalroads.ca. So again, if you have any questions, they will be happy to jump on a call with you or just chat with you over email if you want to delve into this program more as well. And also, Leslie has been so kind as to let us provide her email address on this slide too, if you do want to reach out and ask more questions directly to her about the programs. And you can also reach out to our general Royal Roads School of Environment and Sustainability email address, which you can see there. I think Kish is also on the call today too from our School of Environment and Sustainability, which is
Thanks.
awesome. So with that, I want to do another call for any other questions that you may have, and we'll give that a few moments. Or let us know, have we answered all of your questions? Did you end up being intrigued by one program that you didn't select in the poll at the start of the webinar? Anything that you want to share or any questions that you have, now is a great time to add those into the chat box there.
And don't hesitate to reach out to me by email. Don't try to phone me. But I'm happy to email you. And if it's administrative issues, do the RRUSES. But if you're interested in careers or the content of the program, don't hesitate to email me.
Perfect. And I see a question here from Simon. What kind of companies are involved in the practicum?
Oh, the students organize their own practicums, and they're always very successful at doing that. And this is also for the practicum in the MEP program, but also in the climate program. I have 39 students in the climate course right now, and they have all organized practica or placements, we're calling them in that program. And they're amazing. We talked to them last night, and they're everything from First Nations, consortiums of First Nations to address climate change, government departments, lots of different government departments, the UN, private industry, companies, all of whom want to address climate change. And the students are there helping them. And so they work with their site supervisor. But there's an incredible diversity of companies. Maple Leaf Foods, I probably shouldn't be identifying them by name, but anyway, lots of different companies. I hope that answers your question. Okay, Michelle. Yes, Michelle, the course is at master's level because it's a master's certificate. And I always say that this is the most efficient way to get a respected credential in climate change. They just don't exist. And so, this really sets people up for climate careers. And I think, especially because of the EcoCanada connection, many employers are very interested in this certificate. Yes, you can keep the 9 credits in the bank. I'm not entirely sure about how long you can do that for. That's a registrarial question. But you certainly can apply those, and you'd probably be able to get what do you call it, transfer credits certainly into any Royal Roads program, and probably into other universities as well from those 9 credits. Application personal statement. Do you know what I'm looking for is motivation. I want to see how committed you are to the environment, to climate change. And the stronger your motivation, the more likely you are to succeed in these programs. And that's really what I'm looking for. So if you have volunteer experience in environmental organizations, really stress that. Also, I like to hear about what you can bring to the other students in the class. Very often, all of our students are highly accomplished, and they bring as much to the courses as the instructors do, and they stay in connection with each other long after the program ends. So I hope I've answered that question. What if you don't have the 2 years experience? I'm very flexible about that experience, but we really do require 2 years at least of experience. And that's because, these programs are oriented to the real world. And we really like the people in the programs to have some real world experience, whether it's volunteering or employment or something else for that matter. So if you don't have that, I recommend you get it before you apply. I hope that's not too off-putting. Anyone else? Is that it?
I think so. I mean, there was a question that Bev answered already. Is the whole program online? And yes, for both of for all of the programs we talked
Yeah.
about today, yes to fully online.
So you can do them from anywhere.
And Leslie, where do you have students from around the country or beyond right now, just to give some folks the idea of the type of places people can be from in one cohort or one intake,
Sure,
I guess?
sure. I have one student from Africa. I have one student from, oh boy, Brazil, Peru, sorry. And I have students from all across Canada, Atlantic Canada, the North. I have many students from the North, and this program is really great for people from the North because it's a long way to come to Victoria. A lot from BC, a lot from Alberta. That's about it.
No, that's fantastic. And it's really great to get all of those different perspectives in your group project and your, discussions every week and stuff. So that's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah, these courses are very interactive, and I'm always delighted to see how much those students get to know one another. Always at the beginning of any of my courses, people are saying, "Oh, Chris, great to see you again." And these people know each other really well, and they get to know their professors really well. Okay.
Yeah, so awesome. And with that, I don't think I see, oh, one more question here. Perfect. Are there jobs you're aware of with flexibility similar to your program, i.e. for
Yes.
someone with disabilities?
I, yes, and there is more and more, I think, recognition of this out in the world. And EcoCanada regularly does programs that encourage employment of people with diversity and diverse populations. And we are very concerned about that here at Royal Roads. We just had a big webinar on it yesterday, trying to chart our progress in hiring diverse populations and having them in our student body and catering and accommodating people with disabilities. So thank you for that question. And I think the answer is that increasingly this is a good situation in Canada. Canadians have got good morals. And they also recognize that people with disabilities bring a lot to any job. So thank you. No, you can start the program in January. I realize that that's a bit inconsistent with our requirement that you take the 500 and 550 as your first courses. But I would certainly give you permission to take the first climate course at the same time. 500 is a very demanding course, so we don't like people to take other courses at the same time. But if you're starting on the certificate, I would give you permission to do that.
Good question from Karen. So for the education reference, it may have been 20 years. Is there flexibility in this for those who are a bit farther in their career?
Yes, of
Yes, there
course.
is.
And Karen, if you applied, I would definitely give you a good reference.
Yeah, definitely. We
I'm her
definitely.
I'm her education reference.
There you go. Yeah, no, we definitely recognize that it can be a number of years since people have been out of school. So that definitely works to have that multiple work references.
But my God, Karen, has it really been 20 years? Terrible. Where did the time go? Okay, how do you register for the academic writing course? It's a continuing education course, and you register through them. You can tell by my voice that I'm a little less certain about this because I don't know how anyone registers for anything. So, sorry, maybe Bev can say something about that.
Yeah, I'm wondering, Bev, if you have a link handy for the professional and continuing studies or for the course itself. If you could add that to the chat box, that would be great. But yeah, they have, oh, waiting for the website to load. Yep,
You
Bev
know,
will be on it.
yeah, increasingly, students who apply for the program have already taken that course. And that is a wonderful idea because then you don't have to, wait to take the course before you can be admitted to the program.
Yeah, and I believe there's a number of times that they offer it a year, so you
Yeah,
can,
there are.
yeah, so you can take it when it works for you, and if you want to line it up before you start the program, hopefully there'll be some options for that. But yeah, so Bev's saying you can go to professional and continuing studies on the website and then click on academic support, and it should be in that area. Um, but I can also add a link to it in the follow-up email I send with the recording link as well. So then people have that handy as well if you want to
Good.
learn more about that one.
Thanks, Christy. That's excellent. I'd like to ask, okay, Olivia says, oh, this is a direct message. Maybe I shouldn't read it. Yes, wonderful. Oh, and Brent's just finishing. That's great. Um, I was going to say something. Michelle, are you still on the call?
Hello.
Hi, Michelle. Is there anything you'd like to say to the people on the call about the GC? I mean, about the MEP?
Yeah, I just echo everything that you, Leslie, and Christy has mentioned. Working with other students throughout the period of the course was really great to see familiar faces. And, when it came to writing our research papers, we all helped each other and proof checked. And the professors are so supportive. I've ended up getting a job through one of my professors because I was really interested in working with the United Nations, and I reached out to him, and I'm mentioning this because the Northern professor, they want to see you succeed and really support you in your own goals and know your names, as Leslie said. So it's really great, the interaction of the online, like individual assignments as well as the team assignments. I had peers in Guyana and across the world, so it was really fruitful to just get outside the echo chamber of people who you normally hang out with and just get like different perspectives when you're working on these team assignments. So it was a really great course. I did the master's in environmental practice, and so I'm a little bit nervous about the climate program because of the science aspect. So it was good that someone asked that question
Yeah,
before.
don't be, Michelle.
Okay.
Um, you remember Rob Newell and Leanne Pyle. They're teaching this course, and I've insisted that they take special care with people who don't have science backgrounds. Give them
Okay.
extra stuff, help them with assignments, stuff like that, because it is a challenging course, but anyone can do it. And I know now because I've shepherded all these students through that first course, and it hasn't proved to be a problem.
Amazing.
There you
Yeah.
go.
I highly recommend the MEP anyway. So good luck to everybody who's signing up to that.
Thank you very much, Michelle. It was great of you to jump in. Sorry for putting you on the spot.
Yeah, thank you so much for just, being at the ready for the question there. That is so nice to have that perspective from you. Okay, so with that,
Okay, my dears, thank you very much, everyone, for joining us. This was a really exciting session.
yeah, absolutely. And if you do have any other questions, definitely reach out to us. But thank you all so much for joining. And Leslie as well, thank you for answering all the questions and for providing all the information. And then as well to our team behind the scenes, Mark, Bev, and then Kish as well, for being there to support this session. So it's really awesome to be able to bring all of us together today, and best of luck to all of you in your applications or future research on which program you want to take and all of that. We hope to see you at some point in the future.
And Olivia, get in touch if you have any questions. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, perfect. Have a good day, everyone.
Bye, everybody.